Aleister Crowley talks about how of all the species, human beings are the only creatures that have super versions of ourselves that create world religions that transform societies. There's no super monkeys that we're aware of. There's no super finch, no super squirrels that suddenly come up with a new way of being. So, because we've had these religions, world religions, that are always started with a prophet who usually goes off somewhere by themselves and then comes back. That's usually the pattern. That means there will be another world religion, probably. That there is more of a likelihood that some other world religion will emerge than not. So my question is, what do you think that religion is going to look like, and what do you think its prophet will be like?
Oh, I 100%. The next one, because there's every day there's David Koresh's popping up who are like charismatic, but their field is typically religious, and we have so far had a dichotomy, a resistance between science and religion.
Yes.
And if you mention religion to a scientist, they are, for very good reasons, like that you can't take away from them. Like the word religion, it just makes them vomit intellectually. They can't. They reject it whole hand. It's going to be it's going to be a scientist. It's going to be somebody who's smart. They have to be the equivalent in science of a theologian that simply knows more scripture than everyone else. They have to be they have to have the option, should they choose, in the eyes of everyone, of not having opinions about the non-scientific aspects of life, and they have to bother.
Explain that. What do you mean by that?
It's going to be a guy in a lab coat and a clip-on tie who, in addition to knowing black holes better than Stephen Hawking, says, here's the secret to happiness.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's
it's cool. Not going to be someone who
Einstein Buddha.
Who had the... Yeah, it's not. It's going to be a scientist who recognizes that science is not only a religion, is the most recent and most powerful and important religion, because what it is, not metaphorically, not figuratively, but actually, is humankind holding hands and looking for God as if they're looking for a missing child. Systematically, skeptically, through peer review, like all the things that currently are thought to fly in the face of religion, which has gotten... It's this whole thing in the Western society. It's like, religion is that thing that says you have to believe something whether you like it or not, otherwise it won't be true, and then you're a fuck up.
Right.
Science is the thing I trust, because in science you can learn things and make yourself better. And religion doesn't allow for that. And so there's all these things, these unfortunate contradictions that don't have to exist. They only exist for political reasons.
Oh my God, I've got to read this to you now, Dan. This is crazy. Oh man, listen to this. This is crazy. This is some weird little...
Stephen Hawking just opened a church.
No, it's a Aleister Crowley little poem, I guess you call it. But he says... We place no reliance on virgin or pigeon. Our method is science. Our aim is religion. But so we have this super genius scientist person who understands. He
goes to science instead of any scripture. But in those moments when you say, but it's like moments of cosmological.
Does he?
Doubt.
But so the pattern is.
And by the way, oh my God, she. Sorry.
Right, she.
Or
who knows?
Or
multiple
non-binary.
Genders. Well, it could be anything.
Very sorry about that.
This is someone who went through who went through CRISPR.
It's just a pronoun that I fall back on. I'm projecting my own gender.
Part man, part who knows? Because now we're with the CRISPR gene editing thing coming up, we don't know what we're going to turn ourselves into. But so let's say she. follows the normal pattern, which already she isn't following the normal pattern because
she's already has a hole where addiction.
Yeah, man, and usually that in world and that, but I think really what you are saying is the next prophet will be a woman. It would make sense, and so she, if she follows the pattern that all these other prophets have followed, which is that they somehow they vanish from the world for a little while. Mm-hmm. And Crowley writes about this. It's really interesting the way he writes about it. He almost implies, and I feel like he implied, that there's some kind of mystery school out there that every once in a while picks people, gives them some transmission, and then sends them back with this info. But I don't know if he meant that for sure. But where does she go?
Oh.
What is her initiation ritual? And what is the thing that she realizes that she brings back to the world?
Jesus. Well, first of all, where she goes it's as easy as it's ever been, no more, no less, because even though we feel like it's like, oh, now society's inescapable. You used to be able to just walk 5 feet to the left and you'd end up in woods.
Yes.
Well, you still end up in woods 5 feet to the left. It's called closing your laptop.
Whoa,
we there's a reason we don't walk into woods in the 1800s. It's because it's incredibly inconvenient, and we got out of them for a reason. There's a reason why you don't just drop off of the internet. But people do it as a stunt. People do it to go camping.
Yeah.
People do it to get back in touch with what's important.
Yeah.
And so this person, that will become a prophet, it's not, they're going to experience transformation of some kind. They're going to have a story to them that's going to be, well, once upon a time they were a functioning member of society as it was yesterday and as it was supposed to be tomorrow. That they could have continued, but then something happened. Cancer or gunshot to the head or just a story, as with Buddha, just took a walk, saw some crazy shit.
Yeah.
It really could just be an epiphany.
But
then that person was just like, oh, and then I realized, what if I, for instance, just an example, what if I, as a scientist, only told the truth? What if I and I mean really for real?
Yeah.
What if for one day, what if I only said the truth?
Yeah.
Not in a dramatic 90-minute movie from the 80s about an advertising agent who goes insane and becomes a prophet way. I mean for real, someone, and you just don't just any experiment like that. And there will be a story to it. They'll get fired from NASA.
Right.
They'll get fired. They'll get kicked out of MIT.
Yeah.
There will be a story that there's a paper trail. So, did you hear about that professor? She was giving a lecture and a student asked her, what should I do, or what's the sound of one ant clapping, or how do rockets work? And she said, well, just here, I'm going to send you a link. This is what she said. And then she finished her answer, and she walked out of the room, and she disappeared for 3 years.
Yes.
Or she went home, or she got fired. Yeah. But that's more likely. You can get fired.
I like that you're saying that it's kind of like it's not going off into some forest or something. It's like you're saying it's more of a kind of.
Jesus! I mean, look, the forest is now. It's just reality.
The forest is no wireless. The forest is getting off the grid.
And that's not about an erosion of the natural world, as if to say, in my day, the natural world was made of logs. Now, the natural world is made of fiberglass because the world's that much less natural. That makes it seem like, well, geez, then if I go back to logs, I'm going to really gain enlightenment. I don't know about that. I don't think so. Because your function as a hero and a prophet is not to recalibrate so completely that you're unrelatable.
Right.
Your purpose is to cross a threshold between what is and what isn't.